what I do is my protest to the intentional uh, restrictions that have been placed around our community for so long. And so I said, well, what have I lived through and seen? I lived through cycle after cycle of things pretty much staying the same from when I was born until now. So I'm looking and I'm saying, all right, I'm not going to gaslight myself and tell myself that everything is, you know, changing at this rapid pace. There have been some changes, but I'm just looking. I'm saying the results are moving pretty slow. So what is the cause of this? And then what I started doing when I started exposing myself to other cultures, I started exposing myself to other conversations. And so there's some conversations that some people are just not having. They're focused on action. So when I say a protest, there are a lot of different ways to protest. I can protest with my words or I can protest with my actions. And sometimes you don't have to be loud the way everybody else has done it in order to make the impact or make the statement. So I said, what is one way that we can implement something that will transcend and will last for generations? I said, if people get a chance to just see and be exposed and know that there's something larger than the same conversations that they've been having for the past 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, a light bulb will go off and it might spark something. And so when you talk about the transformation, Dr. Boyce, I'm looking at people say, a lady came to me today. She said, she said, I'm learning things I've never learned before. She said, I need to start thinking a little bit deeper. When she said that, and she looked like she's probably in her early 60s. She said, I think I need to just start thinking a little bit deeper because there's just things I didn't know and I'm learning. And I said, that's the goal right there. For people to be empowered within themselves. And to sometimes propaganda is designed to keep a cycle of conversations going that will never go anywhere. It's like the never ending debates. I've watched some people just debate each other and they're never going to convince each other or change each other's minds. So now all of that energy has been spent on that conversation, which amounts to everyone coming back to the same conclusion that they came to the conversation with. I said, I can't be on that gerbil wheel or hamster wheel of conversation. I need to see some actions. I need to see something tangible. And that's why, like over the past 4 years, we've taken more than 2,000 people back to the continent of Africa and beyond. So now all of these people have been impacted. All of these families have been impacted. Those who've been watching the documentaries and been following the journey, they've been impacted. Influencers have been impacted. So that right there is what I look at to say, there's certain conversations I just can't, I don't have anymore. I mean, I have my opinions about the various politicians. I can see the stuff on both sides. And so I just got to sit back and say, oh, yeah, I see what's going on. But I look at the larger system that funds them. I look at the results. I go back and study historical context, and I go beyond 100 years ago. I want to go 200 years ago, 300 years ago. Take me back 500 years and help me understand why things are the way they are. What happened at the inception of this country? What was going on before this country even got started? What was happening in Haiti and in Brazil and in the islands and what we now know as Central America and other parts of South America? What was really going on the continent? Are we so different? Because sometimes we think that they were, I hear this thing all the time. I don't want to go to Africa because they sold my ancestors into slavery. I said, now, first, I said, that's one story that you have heard from who? And then I said, but do you understand that if, let's say that is the case, there were still people who were left behind, who lost their families, who lost their villages, who were fighting against the very entities that were creating the havoc. They were fighting against the British and the Dutch and the Portuguese and the Spanish and the French and the Germans and the Belgians